Welcome to Gen Z Recap, a horror action comedy starring Nicolas Cage as a man who escapes hell to avenge his daughter. The movie name is in the comments. Enjoy. After 10 years in hell, John Milton escapes to the mortal world. His first order of business is to question 3 men who were involved in the murder of his daughter. He brutally kills 2 of them, and from the last, learns that his daughter's baby is being held in Stillwater Marsh. But the man warns that he's too late. At the first full moon, the baby will be killed and hell's gonna walk the earth. Hell already is walking the earth. John informs the man and tells him to warn the others that he's coming to get her back. At a diner, John learns that Stillwater Marsh is an abandoned prison in Louisiana. At that same diner, a waitress named Piper Lee quits after another unwelcome assault from her scumbag manager. On the way home, her car breaks down, and John helps fix it in exchange for a ride. They get to a motel and part ways. Then, she catches her fiancé, Frank, cheating on her and breaks up with him. But things quickly escalate, and when he strikes her, John Milton takes notice. He punches the man in the face 3 times, then lets an AC unit fall on his face. Meanwhile, a man in a suit who calls himself the accountant shows up at the diner. He can smell that John Milton was there. He questions the manager and a waitress to learn which way John went. That night, John drives off with Piper in her ex-fiancé's car. She sleeps in the back seat, and he thinks of his daughter. She became involved in a cult whose leader murdered her and took her baby. When Piper wakes, John asks if she'd be willing to get him as far as Louisiana. And she agrees, but warns that if he tries to kill her and dump her in the woods, she'll cut his nuts off. Yes, ma'am. He agrees. Then they stop at the Bull by the Balls Motel for the night. At the bar, she finds a man, and he finds a woman. Meanwhile, the accountant visits Frank to interrogate him about John's whereabouts. When Frank is less than cooperative, the accountant throws him against a wall, and when Frank swings a bat at him, the accountant moves impossibly fast to steal it, break it, and use the splintered wood to impale Frank against the wall. Finally, he learns that John left with Piper in Frank's '69 Charger. Before leaving, the accountant tosses the other piece of broken wood into Frank's eye. Outside, he transforms a coin into an FBI badge and poses as an agent, then recruits 2 cops to help in the search for John Milton. At the motel, cult leader and murderer Jonah King arrives with some of his men. They plot to kill John and Piper while she spies from behind the bar. The men leave with their axes, guns, and crowbars to find John. Jonah stays behind while Piper quietly arms herself. The men find John with the waitress from the bar, though he has no trouble dodging their attacks and killing them all while still satisfying the woman and enjoying a bottle of Jack. The fight ends with a quick assist from Piper. She demands answers, but John insists they have to go. The accountant, who we later found out is the Grim Reaper sent to bring John back, arrives and his 2 cops spot John. They exchange fire, and John takes a bullet to the stomach. Then he hands a pistol to Piper, and with her help, kills the 2 officers. They drive off, and the accountant watches them leave. The next morning, Milton drives while Piper demands answers. When he isn't forthcoming, she pulls a gun and asks for one good reason she shouldn't shoot him in the face. "I'm driving," he answers. "You know what I mean?" she exclaims. And he finally gives some answers. "They killed my daughter," he says. "They took her baby. I'm going to get her back." Suddenly, the accountant arrives in the police car. He pulls up next to them, and John asks Piper to grab a special gun from an old case in the back seat. The accountant demands John stop. When John refuses, "This isn't just a content. It's my time, my heart, and honesty. If it's touched you even once, please subscribe and help me keep going." Accountant asks John what makes him think he has a choice. This does, John answers, then fires the special gun. For the first time, the accountant looks panicked. The bullet grazes his cheek and draws blood. Then his car spins out of control and flies off the bridge. Piper takes over driving while John focuses on reloading his guns. He also tells her more about his daughter and how she got mixed up with Jonah King. Her world was in a tailspin, and King was preaching quiet revolution, he says. But she soon learned that King was into satanic magic and recruiting for his own personal Armageddon. When she told him she wanted out, he broke her leg in 3 places with a tire iron. After that, she played along. Until 18 months later, she stabbed him in the face with a pentagram pendant and vanished. Piper asks why John didn't help her that whole time, and he answers that he didn't find out she was in the cult until he was locked up. Piper also asks why he doesn't reload the special gun, and John answers that they only have 3 bullets, one of which was already used. They arrive at the cult's church. Inside, John finds the baby, but as he moves toward it, the churchgoers draw their guns and point them at John and Piper. "Let her go and give me the child," John demands, "or I'll blow all your heads off." They refuse, and John drops his weapon. Then King reveals himself and accuses John of abandoning his daughter. In fact, she told everyone he was dead. John demands he hand over the child, but Jonah refuses. This child is blessed, and with its sacrifice, change will come to the world and free people from suffering. This child will open the door to a new world order. King says, "Muton laugis." The charlatan murders my daughter and then feeds me his philosophy. King claims his daughter's death was an accident, but John saw the whole thing. He saw who Jonah was when no one's looking, and he saw what that night cost him. Jonah forced John's daughter to her knees, and she bit off a certain appendage. Isn't that right, Leather Jacket? Milton gestures to the man with a knife at Piper's throat. "You were there. Dickless made you swear not to tell anyone." Jonah shoots the man in the head. "Give me the child," John demands. "Give me the child." Then Milton shoots John too, right in his left eye. King's men drag Piper into an RV, where she awaits King's blessing. And King shows the dead Milton his daughter's femur bone, which he's turned into a cane. Then he leaves in the RV. In the church, Milton wakes up and kills the cultists who remain behind. Back in a charger, he covers his new wound with a pair of sunglasses and drives off. He gets to the RV, and while King's guards are distracted by Milton's arrival, Piper frees herself from their grasp and fights them off. One cultist chases Milton into a warehouse, but they end up with a few bullets in their face before their truck does a nosedive into a maintenance pit. Piper kicks one of her captors out of the RV, and for good measure, Milton crashes through the woman with his car. Then King promises Piper that he's going to kill her and defile her corpse. They fight, and in the struggle, Piper stabs him in the chest with his pentagram necklace. Before he can shoot her, Piper jumps out the back of the RV and onto Milton's car. Riddled with bullets, the Charger finally gives out, and they are forced to stop. While the RV takes off with King and the child, Piper stares at Milton's wound and asks, "How?" "It's still in there." He answers, "The bullet. I can feel it." "How are you still alive?" she asks. "We don't have time for this. They're getting away." He dodges her question and asks if she has a phone he can borrow to call an old friend who lives nearby. They push the car to the side of the road, and she covers up his wound when the old friend arrives. Webster is surprised to see John Milton alive, but helps to move their car and brings them to his place. There, Milton's wound finally heals, and Webster tells Piper about John's past. John Milton was a bad husband, but a good father. Then, he and Webster got mixed up with the wrong crowd. To protect his daughter, John disappeared. After a particular job, the people they worked for planned on killing Webster and John, but John paid them a visit to save him and his friend, but it cost him his life. Outside, Webster offers John a beer, and John tells him about hell. "Fire isn't the worst part," he says. "It's the video feeds. It's not about your suffering, you're burning. It's about the suffering of those you love, because that's all you see." He goes on, "My daughter was 16 when I got shot. I watched her weep. I watched her curse me. I watched her join that cult. I watched the murders. My tree-hugging, sandal-wearing son-in-law first, and then my daughter. Burning is nothing compared to watching your child's head being torn off." And finally, he adds, "Thank you, Webster. I don't believe I'll be having that beer just now. Not unless I'm drinking it from Jonah King's skull." Webster can't fix the Charger, but offers a Chevelle 454 instead. John prepares to head off to Stillwater, and Webster insists on joining him. Racked with guilt over what happened the last time, he let John go on his own. But John makes him stay behind, though he'll need Piper. He makes sure that she understands it's going to be rough, but she doesn't care. This is the first time her life has had meaning, and she's with him till the end. They drive off. Meanwhile, the accountant interrogates a surviving cultist at the church to learn why John Milton is after them. And Jonah King calls the police to let them know where they can find Milton. And a squad of police cars trail behind Milton Chevelle, leading him to a barricade ahead, where the troopers are ready to kill. But when John and Piper arrive at the barricade, the accountant eyes a truck through it and crashes his tank of hydrogen to blow up a few squad cars. The chaos gives John and Piper a chance to escape. At the barricade, the accountant poses as an FBI agent and identifies one of the troopers as a cultist. He orders the man to tell Jonah King that John Milton is dead, and the cultist makes the call. As the night falls, John and Piper reach Stillwater Prison. Piper waits outside, while John heads in to spy on the celebrating cultists. When he returns to the car, Piper is held hostage by the accountant. But Milton brandishes the special gun, or God Killer, and reminds the accountant what it means. No haben, no hid. The accountant will simply cease to exist. But with a knife at Piper's throat, the accountant gets John to drop the gun. Then he asks John how he escaped hell with the God Killer. I just walked in and took it, John explains. Wouldn't want to be you when he finds out, the accountant says. What's he going to do? Not let me back in? John asks, and asks why the accountant helped them at the barricade. And the accountant answers, Satan isn't a fan of people sacrificing children in his name. So the accountant will give John a chance to rescue the baby before bringing him back to hell. And with the help of his Chevelle 454 and some guns, John slaughters most of the cultists. While he battles it out, a couple of King's men reach the accountant. But the agent of hell easily kills them with his magic coin. While he's distracted, Piper snatches the God Killer from his holster. The accountant tells her there's no point in killing him. If she does, someone else will come and take John. John didn't steal the gun to kill him. It was just to slow him down. All he wants is the baby. Go to him. Asterisk, the accountant says asterisk. Now, before it's too late. Once John's car is destroyed, and most of the cult members are dead, one manages to shoot him in the back. King starts beating down on him with his daughter's femur bone. Piper arrives and fires the God Killer, but she misses the shot and hits one of the cultists instead. The kick of the gun causes it to drop from her hand. John crawls towards the gun. King shouts to one of the cult members, "Bring the baby." Then he tells John, "You can't be killed. You're armed with a power you'll never know." The man shouts, "Nothing of this earth can kill me." But John is just the thing for that. He fires the God Killer, thereby defeating Jonah King, leaving behind only a shard of his skull. Piper runs over to the wounded John. The accountant hands John the child. John asks Piper, "Promise me you'll take care of her and love her." John appears to be dead. Piper takes the baby and leaves with Webster. Once they're gone, John gets up, drinks a cold beer, Jonah King's skull beside him. The accountant is unimpressed, but satisfied with Milton's performance. The accountant summons a black vintage car. Before getting in, John promises, "If Satan mistreats me again, I'll get out again. Now okay." John gets in the car and drives back to hell. Subscribe.